The problem with sleeping in strange places is that sometimes the place wakes up before you do, and sometimes that place is built to crush things. At around 4 a.m. on Thursday, the 11th of August, 2016, a garbage truck driver was doing his usual rounds in Albany, Oregon. He was one of around 50 drivers employed by Republic Services, a company whose drivers each clear around 100 dumpsters per day, none of which should contain people. What he had no idea was that 23-year-old Ivan Mendez Perez had just been scooped up into the back of his truck, which by now was compacting what he thought was just a load of cardboard. Perez had been sleeping in a dumpster and was now in the back of a vehicle designed to reduce things into smaller and flatter versions of themselves. While passing Big Five Sporting Goods, the driver noticed cardboard flying from the back of the truck. He pulled over and got out, and that's when he heard the screaming. Someone was in the compactor. He contacted Albany police, who responded with Albany Fire, and together they worked to get Perez out. Miraculously, he had gone through the compactor not once, not twice, but several times, and somehow managed to survive. The trash may have been recycled, but Ivan was not. Ivan was taken to Good Samaritan Medical Center in Corvallis, suffering a fractured leg, but apart from that, he had found his dumb way to survive. Albany Police Captain Eric Carter later reminded the public, "Do not plan dumpsters, do not go into them, do not sleep in them." Advice you would think would go without saying.
What made you want to jump into a lion's enclosure at the Bronx Zoo?
I would say it's a lot more spiritual. And I fear nobody, no animal, and no one. So no, I wasn't fearing of the lion because the lion loved me. That's why he came to me. And I let the lion know, "Lion, I love you."
Spanning more than 250 acres, New York City's Bronx Zoo is home to more than 6,000 animals, consisting of over 600 species. On the 28th of September 2019, 30-year-old Maya Autry visited the Bronx Zoo. While most people who go there stick to the paths, watch the animals from behind the barriers, and don't climb into the enclosures, Maya had other plans. Her questionable decisions that day started with the giraffe enclosure. After climbing over the fence, she wandered into a restricted area and waved at the giraffes. She took a selfie, said a few words to them, then climbed back out. She had gotten close to something tall. Now, she wanted something a little more dangerous. Her next poor decision of the day came when, to the horror of onlookers, she climbed over a safety barrier and directly into the enclosure with the lions, with only a small creek between them. A guest, gesturing toward the lion, suggested she might want to get back. However, ignoring the advice, she waved at the lion, called it baby, and shouted, "I love you," all while shaking her body and wiggling her fingers. Thankfully, the lion, seemingly as shocked as everyone else at the stupidity happening in front of it, remained professional throughout and didn't make a scene, and miraculously, she escaped uninjured. However, the craziness was very far from over. In the days following the incident, Maya posted the experience to her Instagram. She declared, "I really have no fear of nothing breathing," and described the moment as a spiritual connection. The stunt, however, created a buzz online and was headline news. The New York Police Department opened an investigation, and the Bronx Zoo issued a statement saying her actions could have resulted in serious injury or death. But perhaps the craziest moment was when, appearing in court on a charge of shoplifting in New Jersey, Maya gave an impromptu interview to reporters and made a series of highly bizarre statements. She claimed the lion loved her, said she wasn't afraid because she was the lion, and went on a ramble about reincarnation, all while complimenting the eyes of the reporter and greeting everyone with shalom.
"I love you, lion. Hope they treating you right in the zoo. No, Maya, love you. I didn't mean to mistreat you or nothing, but I seen how you came to me. We connected. To the kids, respect your parents. please, your teachers, authority, and NYPD, like I said, I love you.
She was formally charged with 2 counts of criminal trespass for entering both the giraffe and lion enclosures. She later failed to appear in court for the follow-up hearing, and a warrant was issued for her arrest. However, searching low and high, there's no record of any convictions from the charges and no indication she ever returned to face them. But it was the story that kept on giving. In 2021, Maya returned to the Bronx Zoo and once again entered the restricted area into the enclosure with the lions, this time holding roses, talking to them and throwing them money. The lions, once again, were left dumbfounded, and they once again took the public relations high ground and let her have her dumb way to survive. It's one thing to rob a store and walk away with nothing. It's another to get beaten back by an 8-year-old with a baseball bat. At around 9:30 p.m. on the 10th of August 2023, 37-year-old Concover Joseph Morrell walked into a liquor store in Maplewood, Minnesota. However, he wasn't there to buy a beer. He placed a bottle on the counter, along with what looked, at first glance, like a serious handgun. In reality, it was only a BB replica of a .45 caliber Sig Sauer, which meant the only real danger was his poor judgment. Regardless, it was convincing enough to demand that the clerk hand over the money. Looking to de-escalate, the clerk explained that his 8-year-old daughter was behind the counter, and he told Morrell he'd hand over the cash if he put away the gun. However, the request was ignored, and the would-be robber stepped behind the counter. According to an article in People magazine, the clerk saw an opening and landed a punch on Morrell, and a wrestling match began. 2 grown men grappling for control of a weapon that, unbeknownst to one of them, wasn't even real. And that's when the star of the story stepped in. From behind the counter, the 8-year-old grabbed an aluminum baseball bat and landed blow after blow to the robber's head. With the robbery not going to plan, Morrell made his first smart move of the night and made for the exit. He left both the bottle and the gun behind, taking only a fresh head injury with him. Police found him several hundred feet away. He briefly resisted before being taken into custody. He denied being at the store and said his injuries had come from a fight 2 days earlier. However, the police did not buy his story. The BB gun was recovered and he was charged with first-degree attempted aggravated robbery. That's all the stories for today's video. If you enjoy lesser-known and fact-driven disaster storytelling, I'd love it if you considered subscribing and joining me for the next one. And as always, thanks for watching.